Thank you. It's a real great honor for me to be here this evening. I don't know where to start. Everything that I am today, it started actually from the library. As you have heard, I grew up in a very small village in Malawi. I grew up in a family of 7 children. So growing up, life wasn't too easy for me because all of my sisters, they had each other. Sometimes when I'm trying to play with them, they'll be like, oh, go find your fellow boys to play with. So I taught them, I had a deal with them. I say, if you don't bother me, I won't bother you. So sometimes when they go into fight, they will try to get me involved. I say like, no, we have the deal. So when I was growing up in Malawi, I grew up being a very curious person. I really wanted to understand how many things work. I remember asking people as a young kid, how does the car work? They say, you put in a gas and you drive. I'm saying like, I know that, but how does that gas turn the car to land that you can be drive? Nobody could really tell me. So I've always really like trying to seek some knowledge to be able to understand how can I get this knowledge? Where can I be able like to find information? And it's about science, everything that is surrounding me. So when my parents couldn't afford it to pay for my school fees, I started thinking, what can I do for me in order for me to continue with my studies? I was hoping at that time, if I can keep up with my schoolwork, when my parents will find money, they will send me back to school. So I didn't want to be behind from my friends who were going to school at that time. One thing that really encouraged me to be able to go to the library to read books, I didn't want to be like my father. I didn't want to become a farmer. It's not that I didn't want to become a farmer because I hate farming. No, I love farming. Majority in my community are farmers, not by choice, but because of the circumstances. So I thought that if I can have an education, I can be able to do everything that I want to do with my life. Because with education, it opened up my option wide. So when I couldn't go to school, I started going to the library to read those books. Most of the time I was using the books that they were using the textbooks that they were using in school. But because I was very curious when I was much younger, that's when I also get involved into reading some science books. At that time, I couldn't speak English very well. So I used to use the diagrams and pictures around it to learn the words around it, to be able to understand. I remember asking the librarian, what does this word mean? They say, sometimes the word will have direct translation in my language, but sometimes it didn't. So I had to use my own imagination. So I was able to find some books was explaining physics was much higher level than the level that I was at that time. So reading those books really inspired me to learn and understand how electromagnetics work. One day when I was at the library, that's the time that I found a book, a textbook from here that was it had the pictures of the windmill on the cover. They say windmills could pump water and generate electricity. The word pump water attracted my attention. I said, if I can build this windmill to pump water, I can start irrigation, growing food 2 to 3 times a year, instead of only one time. But most of farmers in Malawi, they only grow food during the rain season. So life can be, it's really difficult to farmers in the rural areas because you don't have control over so many things. One of it is the weather. If the rain didn't come quite well, then you're going to be in trouble, which is the case what happened in 2000 to 2001 growing season. We experienced some drought. That's what caused the famine at that time. So I thought that by building the windmill to pump water, I would solve the problem that we are facing. At that time, I didn't have money to buy material that I needed, so I ended up going to the junkyard just next to the school that I dropped from. So a lot of people were laughing at me. They thought that something was wrong with me. They thought that I was going crazy. I remember my mom, she was very worried of me. She said, well, no one's going to find a wife. She said, no one wants to marry a crazy man. So, regardless of what people are saying, I keep collecting everything that I can find at junkyard, putting them together, and trying to build a windmill. And at some point, my room itself started looking like a junk. So after putting everything together, I was able to build this windmill, which was the generating power. I And that power, we're using it for lights, and also we're using it for charging. Some people at that time, they had cell phones, so they will see it from far distance. They see the windmill, they'll come to my village, they say, what does this do? I say, it generates power, it can charge a phone. They'll be like, can we try to charge our phone? I say, of course. I plug in the phone, it'll show that it's charging. I say, now you believe me, can you please take your phone? They say, like, no. We want to believe you, we'll believe you when the phone will be fully charged. They just want to get their phone charged. Most of the time I was just living there. So when I did that, I didn't stop going to the library, continued to reading books, just trying to understand. So my life, like when I always hear about the word of library, I just hear about information, how much knowledge has been transferred to people in many different communities through library. The way that people you are doing here with the African Library project, you never know whom it's gonna touch in a different ways. For me, it helped me I was inspired by to be able to build the windmill, which was solving a lot of problems in my community. But there are some that they are also just curious, trying to understand how different things work. Either it's to understand how the car works, they will be able to get that information through the book, or hearing the stories from other people. With how powerful the storytelling is, with my book came out, most of the time, I do receive messages from people from all over the world telling me that I was inspired by your story. I drove out of school, but after reading your book, I was able to go back to school and I was able to get my degree in engineering. That's very powerful to me to understand that I was just trying to share my story, but that the impact of my story, what is happening to the other communities, is so amazing. So by having this project that you are doing, making sure that people have access to the information that they need, it's gonna really help and touch so many lives that we never even thought about it in any ways. So I say thank you for allowing me to share my story with you this evening. It's really a great honor for me to be here, and thank you.